Okay, welcome grade 12s. We're looking at the question 12 here, and assuming you've done quite a few of the other questions by now. So the sum of the second and sixth terms of an arithmetic sequence. So arithmetic sequence, we're already thinking along the lines of Tn equals a plus n minus 1 d. I mean, that's the only one you've really been using, so kind of unsurprising that that's what we're looking at a lot. So the difference is constant. The sum of the second and sixth terms is 4. The third term is 24 more than the 11th term. So again, we're looking at something like the sum of the second, T2, plus the sixth terms, T6, is 4. Well, T2, and if you've done the previous questions and got to this point, then I don't have to spend too much time saying, well, T2 we know is A plus D, because it's the first term plus the common difference, or it's A plus n minus 1D. And the sixth term is a plus 5d. So there we go, equals 4, so we can simplify that out. 2a plus 6d equals 4. Divide the whole equation by 2, just to make our lives simpler. And a plus 3d equals 2. Okay, so there's the first bit of information. Next bit, the third term is 24 more than the 11th term. So the third term is 24 more, so 24 more than the 11th term. So maybe you're already getting a sense of where this is going, because we've got one equation with two variables, and we're busy setting up another equation. T3 we know is a plus 2d, 24 is just 24, and T11 is a plus 10d. Okay, so let's just simplify this equation. Well, the a's kind of, cancel each other out, because if we subtract a from each side, you'll just be left with 2d equals 24 plus 10d, which means we can solve quite easily for d, right? So we've got 8d is negative 24, whichever way we look at it, and therefore I think we've used all that information, so we know that d is negative 3. Oh, well, then we can just sub this bit of information into this equation. So we've got a, well, 3d is just minus 9, so a minus 9 equals 2, a equals 11. It said determine the first term as well as the common difference. Done. It didn't ask for anything else. Determine a formula for the nth term of the sequence. Okay, well, we know that Tn, let's say that we're on part 2 here, or part B, Tn is a plus n minus 1 d. I didn't say a simplified term, so we're actually done, but let's simplify this in case it did ask for a simplified term, or if we're going to use this later. So we've got 11 plus, let's actually make that minus 3n plus 3, distributing the negative 3n. So Tn equals negative 3n, 11 plus 3 gives us 14. So there's our general formula. And the final question asks, is negative 72 a term in the sequence? Justify your answer. Now, generally we've seen this question that's just asked which term is equal to. So let's treat it like that. Negative 72, which term is that? Let's work out what the value of n is for that. Now, as you're going through, think what's going to make this a term or not. There are kind of two main things I can think of off the bat, which are going to make negative 72 a term or not when we solve for n. Okay, well, let's solve and see what happens. Subtract 14 from both sides, and we get negative 86 equals negative 3n. Divide both sides merrily by negative 3. So I'll get my calculator out here. I don't have my on-screen one ready just yet. And I get, well, 86 over 3, 28 and a fraction, 28 and 2/3. So in other words, the 28 and 2/3 term, well, that doesn't make any sense. You've got the 28th term, there's T28, and the next term would be T29. There's no 28 and 2/3 term. So therefore, no, negative 72 is not in the sequence. And wait a second, it said justify. Well, we need to justify why not. And we can say, because n is a fraction, n is not an integer, and not just that, it's not a positive integer. So it wouldn't make sense for n to be negative, because you can't have a negative term. So n is not a positive integer. Maybe you could write that a bit neater and better than I have, but there we go. Hopefully that was helpful.